Sabotage, nothing more and nothing less, is what Lewis Hamilton suggests is happening to his car compared to George Russell's car. Understand that in these 4 or 5 races, his performance is what it is. Maybe karma is punishing him for everything he said to Sergio Perez? We'll see what the controversial statements have been in which Lewis Hamilton has pointed out that in a Red Bull, he'd be much better than Sergio Perez, for instance. And we'll see how, even though he reports it and you'll hear his statements, he speaks about it openly and you'll listen. Video statements from Hamilton at the last Grand Prix, as I know that despite that, you'll see how I'll show you through telemetry that there was no sabotage. What happened was a mistake on the last turn. That's how tough Hamilton is. Tremendous and brilliant, who's going to sign with the team nearby. Welcome to the Minix section of Formula 1 on YouTube, and now let's hear what was said. Lewis Hamilton in the last Chinese Grand Prix, which he had kept under wraps. I mean, this is very strong, it's really good, and I have to bring it out for all the sports fanatics, but I already told you, there were many news items, there were others to address. Much more important things, like for instance, all that we've really seen truly sabotage against checoperez and outrage with the setup, like this one we posted on social media.
You deserve it.
The race, Max wins easily. Look, 23,000 views and 951 likes thanks to all of you who are always there. Liking it obsessively, pin it down. Alberto says, "Hey buddy, how are you? Check the rest. Health above all. There's no defeat, only attendance matters." People are really starting to notice. Here there is sabotage. Look, Jose Antonio says, Checo does some brutal races with the car they give him. It's going full throttle and it's going to be spectacular, and I'll show you how I leave it. Silco, as our ex-fanatics here rightly say, is true, it is sabotage. Not like with Lewis Hamilton, where I'm going to show you with telemetry how it's a malfunction. You can see it there, now you're going to see it. On the last curve, and that's what Nico Rosberg says, that we don't know if Nico Rosberg suffered sabotage at Mercedes, but if anyone can't complain about sabotage, it's Lewis Hamilton. But first of all, before we get into serious stuff and things, let's see another one complaining about sabotage, this time in a red car. Notice that this video was sent by a former fan I really appreciate. Take a look. Okay, here you can see it's not just Lewis Hamilton complaining about sabotage. Here's someone in a red car who's also
complaining about sabotage. It seems this is the ridicule. It doesn't work at all.
Everything's fine. You've looked into this. I'm not going to name the red car because otherwise it's going to stir up controversy for everyone.
Their imagination in the red car names it whatever they want.
And that's how I leave
Let's go
it.
To the serious matter, because this Hamilton situation is serious. Why? Because Hamilton has attacked Checo Perez a lot. He really has said that even with the Red Bull, he could performing much better. He put pressure on at the end of 2023 because he knew it all hinged on him and the contract. Christian Horner has revealed that Hamilton really wanted to sign for the Red Bull team, and that's why all the tricks regarding telepathy, media location, or insisting. And all this is karma, Hamilton. You wanted to take Sergio Perez's place, but you couldn't. You had to move to Ferrari. And now you're really paying the consequences. Not if they are really sabotaging you, which I insist. From what I've seen now, let me know in the comments what you think, but they are simply failures. Lewis Hamilton's concentration. That he says repair before hearing insists that we are going to listen to Hamilton now as he complains of sabotage. Ross. Pep, Hamilton makes excuses for mistakes he shouldn't make. That's how clear and forceful Nicolas is. Lewis is down 1-4. Meaning Hamilton has won once and Russell has beaten him 4 times, following Russell in the standings this year. And every time he says it's the setup, as you will see, he's made the excuse again. For me, that's just an excuse. I clearly made a mistake, says Nico Rosberg. One that shouldn't happen even if he is to be the world champion. Here, he subtly hints, as if to say, let everyone interpret with their imagination, but it's Nico Rosberg, Hamilton's own teammate back when he won so many championships.
That Mercedes that had nothing on top.
Both of us were going in the same direction. There's just a long difference. Wapasi, we both changed our bet a lot right after the sprint, but in the same direction. Russell says that to show you it's very different from what we've analyzed in Esports Maniacs with Rembo. That Verstappen did indeed make the right calls, Helmut Marko and Checo Perez admitted it went downhill from there. Sergio Perez made it clear, showing there's no sabotage at all. The real sabotage is in disapproval. Notice how no one detects that Hamilton is starting to lose weight within the team where he achieved 6 world titles. Now he's also just half of the Mercedes family, said the German. At some point, Toto Wolff will say he can no longer look at the data. So watch out, because Hamilton might even go to us, right? Hamilton told you before seeing the telemetry and everything because he really made a mistake, right? We're going to see it later. I want you to see how Hamilton makes excuses or doesn't make excuses, or, well, let's see it and then we'll check the telemetry exactly and you tell me what's going on. Let's listen.
Hello, Luis.
Hope you like
Heard
the
on your
video.
radio that you were
Started
having
tough,
trouble
tough
and
to
that the
watch,
car was hard to
ended
drive,
up okay.
but it
Worth
was a
it.
cool
Thanks for
comeback
watching.
and it was thrilling to see. Pretty stone race.
It's been a very slow race from my position.
I think it's already 5 races. Yes, it was a struggle.
He states it openly. There are 4 or 5 races where there's a struggle, difficulties, right? Now, I'll show you the struggles they face.
I don't know if in other books. And I'm very grateful that they joined for the 3rd time yesterday morning.
But getting back there will be hard. And for you, maybe it wasn't good with the tough ones. No, didn't have a good rhythm. You're welcome, compared to George.
Now he's compared to George.
Yes, it's more, but what do I do? Survive. What do I do about the forum? What do I do about the forum? What do I do about the forum?
Better not says much, much better, which means much, much better.
And from that perspective, we should have done something different.
I look forward to it, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time.
Looking back, I should have been where he was. Absolutely stunning. These statements from Luis Maldonado.
Give me some.
We had seen it before, hadn't we?
bit of sabotage.
Kind of like saying, oh my god, they are doing something to the car. This isn't normal. Okay, let's see if Bill Clinton is right. Remembering whether he stayed in Q1 or Q2. Now, I don't remember. I think it was Q1 directly, right? Let's compare Racer's best lap with Hamilton's best lap. And let's see the difference. What does Hamilton say? Where is he? You know, this is telemetry, Hamilton's best lap before getting eliminated in the same minute as Rasmus's. What happened then? We see 2 very similar Mercedes. Notice here how we can analyze who brakes earlier here, 259 kilometers per hour, 215 Hamilton. But then it recovers. Well, we can analyze here, for example, it seems that Russell, Hamilton doesn't take the corner very well. Notice how he starts to drift out here, losing about 2 tenths. Sorry, make that Russell go on the line, the blue, and Hamilton's white, which is worthless, meaning it goes faster. But suddenly it starts to balance out, well, what seems like a normal lap, right? Even, you know the straight in China, the last one, that's so long and ends in a super hard braking.
Thanks.
And then there's a mini straight before the finish line. Controversy with Russell, Norris, and Verstappen. If we place ourselves, then we reach the end of the straight and we reach a point of 1/10, something totally normal between 2 teammates. How does Hamilton finish the lap? Half a second off. I mean, he loses 4 tenths in the curve. Where does he lose them? Well, it's quite simple in the braking. Notice how here Hamilton even brakes. Here it is decelerating, has 33% ratchet acceleration, and 50 Hamilton worthless, meaning that is, it's slowing down less quickly. Notice the brake is at 1 in the white car, which is the easing, that is Hamilton. It brakes earlier in this car, that is, it prepares it a bit better. The sharp turn, but we found that Russell manages to accelerate sooner. So much so that, for instance, here we find a Russell at 171 kilometers per hour compared to Hamilton's 154. Here, 70, 58, 38% throttle. The Russell, Hamilton's 26 more, the Russell. 11% for Racer, 0% for Hamilton. What do we interpret here? 74 to 59. Russell brakes later and accelerates sooner in a turn that I tell you reaches a terrifying speed. 334 and 332 kilometers per hour. And I tell you, this is terrifying. And they brake in no time, I mean in a millimetric time period. This is the section where Lewis Hamilton loses half a second. You can see it more closely here. How Hamilton is directly braking earlier, and accelerating. Right here, what happened, pay attention, for there to be such a large gap coming up here, there must be some issue from Hamilton at some point, because this curve, when you accelerate, and after accelerating, it's typical, it slips away. It must have been something like that. A fact is what Nico says, definitely a fact, because the whole turn went well. It can't be that there's sabotage at this part of the turn. That's not right, buddy. This is a mistake. And for example, Checo Perez had the same issue. In the wet sprint qualifying, I was in pole position and would have taken the pole. And here, at the Sportmaniatic, we defended it as a mistake. Because it was a mistake, he was going to call the police, everything was set, he made a mistake. What can we say? He made a mistake. A champion who made a mistake and still came super close to Verstappen when it rains at the airport.
Make it different.
Yes, that's how we explain it. But to claim Hamilton, something like that, the graph on top is very similar. Two Checos, I mean, if you look at this chart, Checos is the same.
They lost the last turn in...
Checos is further, because Checos is this curve here, the last one. Hamilton's comes from the straight. Therefore, it is demonstrated here. What did Hamilton say, right? Regarding Checo, well, notice that they even had the funny phrases on Instagram that this is part of, because of the good vibes Checo always has with people. Because Checo wants to keep the good vibes despite that. Notice that the story goes like this. Christian Horner reveals that Lewis Hamilton tried to replace Checo Perez. He said this on the 23rd of November, 2023. And all this teaches us that Lewis Hamilton has directly made all the comments he's made in 2023 criticizing Sergio Perez out of self-interest. It was simply and plainly that Lewis Hamilton criticized Checo Perez out of self-interest because he truly acknowledges him that the hidden intention was to be on the Red Bull team in Sergio Perez's seat. We've had several talks over the years about bringing in new Hamilton. They've approached us a few times. More recently, at the beginning of the year, there was an inquiry about any interest. To show you that directly at the beginning of the year, Hamilton, acknowledged by Rosberg, had the option to go to the Red Bull team. He says, but I can't imagine Max and Lewis working out together. The dynamics wouldn't be right. We're 100% happy with what we have. Like, straight into November of 2023. Christian Horner acknowledging that what they expect from Checo Perez is a supporting role. That's why when people started defending Christian Horner, who was defending Checo Perez, I'm like, I don't know where these people came from and who's paying them because they're spreading lies. Lewis Hamilton put pressure at the end of 2023 to show that all this was because he would go to Red Bull's place. My focus is on working hard with George Russell and the team to reach the top level in the championship. If the car performs well this weekend, we'll give it our all. I'm super motivated. He was trying to attack Perez's second position in the championship. If I had Perez's car, Verstappen wouldn't be in this situation. Just so you see, this happened twice, but not to even when they collided. And it was Hamilton's fault, who blatantly lost control of the car and crashed into Checo. Now I can't remember which Grand Prix it was, maybe Belgium. And blamed it on Checo, right? I'd love to be as fast as Verstappen. Of course, I'd love to have a car as fast as his, no doubt. If I were in Sergio Perez's car, Max wouldn't be having the good time he's having. So you can see the ongoing controversy Hamilton tried to stir up against Sergio Perez to destabilize him emotionally, as Christian Horner acknowledged, because the ultimate goal was to secure the seat in Red Bull, when he knows perfectly well that next to Verstappen, they would do the same to him as they did to Checo Perez. And now he comes and complains about sabotage when Rosberg has already said the same as we are telling him. We know it's not sabotage because what it is a failure in the last braking at the penultimate braking of the Chile circuit. Here, it's fully demonstrated how it goes from a tenth to over half a second lost, and that's what makes him strong from the classification. So we see a Hamilton who is making excuses, saying that they are sabotaging him. Really leaves a lot to be desired because, besides, notice how he says it. It's already 4 or 5 races, isn't it? I'll play it again because it's really worth revising what he said, and it's already 4.
We've heard your radio saying you've got issues and there's nothing hard to mention, but it has been a cool comeback, a big one
That was
to
a
see.
cool comeback, and he laughs, right? Like saying it's super cool.
Thank you.
Yes, it has been a very slow race from my position.
Now, he looks thoughtful, but it's that Hamilton knows how to measure his words perfectly. He learned from a master who was Fernando Alonso, and notice how he says it perfectly. He doesn't directly talk about sabotage, but it's clearly shown what he means.
I think there have already been 5 races where I've had difficulties.
I'm grateful that I was able to get it assigned.
And so we did it to tell them that something would have happened yesterday morning.
But it's going to be hard getting back to that.
And for you too, won't it do the hard parts well? The rhythm compared to George.
I think it's the rhythm that's the best in the entire race. From my perspective, I should have been in it.
I should have been in
It
Albi.
would have been interesting if you hadn't wasted half a second on a turn. We have denounced this many times by comparing Verstappen's telemetry, and Checo says, look, it's not a curve where Checo loses it, it's progressive in high-speed bends. We've proven it. Friends, I know you're feeling tense. That is not fair to complain about sabotage and to say it openly. To the press right after the race is not showing to be a gentleman with Mercedes as Checo has always been. And to help you relax a bit, here's the monkey with issues in the red square that, for instance, to me, I found it very funny. Friends, see you in the next video. If nothing serious happens, I'll leave it here for you tomorrow. The red single-seater with problems, let me know in the comments who you think doesn't know how to set it up. Friends, thank you for always being there. We're closing the corner bar's shutter until tomorrow when Muro will open it with the poll with the first video. See you. Sleep well. See you tomorrow. Esports Maniac family.
On.